Right, our first question, David, comes from Vanessa. And it says, is it true that Irish firefighters battle the fire from the outside in, while American firefighters fight it from the inside out?
No, there's two terms. When we arrive at an incident, we weigh it up and we either go defensive or offensive.
How many times a week or month do you actually fight a fire?
That depends on how many times a fire occurs. Like
on average?
On average, well, I mean, on average, we would have responded about 52,000 emergencies last year. So,
but not all fires.
Not all fires. I mean, some of them would be river rescues, some would be road traffic collisions, and
That's
some
the thing,
would be
because
fires.
you guys aren't just firefighters, of course. You're all Dublin Fire Brigade. You're all paramedics as well, aren't you?
Yeah, we're unique in the sense, actually, as part of Europe, that Dublin firefighters are all paramedics. So we run the accident emergency ambulance in Dublin City.
As a child, did you want to be a fireman?
No, I didn't actually want to be a fireman. It wasn't something that I would have looked at. It was just circumstances. Obviously, I'm in nearly 36 years now. Obviously, the Stardust had occurred and the vacancies arose in the fire service. And back then, there was a slump. And that's how I actually wound up coming into the fire service.
Okay. Do you remember the first time you rode in the fire engine?
I do, yes. My very, very first turnout, it was actually in the back of the emergency tender, which would be like a rescue truck. It's quite different to the fire engine. It doesn't carry water. And we were going to a road traffic accident. Yeah.
Were you excited when you turned on the siren?
Was I excited? I suppose I was excited and frightened, wondering whether my training would kick in and I'd actually know what to do when I got there.
What situation makes you the most nervous?
The most nervous, I suppose, I mean, it's dealing with families, actually, having to actually deal with the aftermath of something tragic. As I say, in our role as being the ambulance as well, like, I mean, obviously we go into a lot of homes where tragedy has occurred, and it's having to deal with the person that's, we say, not involved in the incident. So, like, you might get a wife or something like that. There's obviously somebody's having a cardiac arrest, or husband, and there's a lot of trauma, screaming going on in the house and all that. So having to deal with them and try and calm them down.
Any fireman I've met or paramedic has a very dark sense of humour. Do you think that helps?
Absolutely. You have to have a dark sense of humour in the fire service. And it does take you through a lot of things. I suppose without getting into gory things. I mean, you come back from a bad road traffic accident where obviously somebody's been badly mangled and all that, and next thing you get mince for your dinner.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. So the likes of that, yeah. And there'll be a bit of banter going on, and that helps you, and that lifts you out of the whole thing.
Angela Fahy wants to know, in between going out to calls, what do you guys do to pass the time while on duty?
Well, our time is taken up a lot with training, because obviously we have a huge array of skills. We're not only firefighters, we're not only paramedics. We're also, say, we do swift water rescue, we do marine firefighting, we do highline rescue. So a lot of our time in the station is actually doing training and drilling.
So it's not like sitting around having a cup of tea all the time. Then there was no calls tonight. We had 8 hours sitting around grabbing our...
No. We often believe that actually the public have cameras in the stations, because the minute you sit down to your dinner,
the phone rings,
inevitably go off. I mean, I have a colleague there says to me, he hates having a cup of tea with me because he says, I inhale me tea, or he drinks his tea. Because you kind of eat and drink quickly, just in case.
Do you have a fireman's pole?
We do have a fireman's pole in every station, yeah.
Do you use it?
Oh, we do, because especially in the 2 stories, it's the quickest way down. And when I would have started in Tara Street, actually it was 3 floors. So it's a skill in itself to come down without breaking your ankle and burning your hands.
What is the most potentially embarrassing situation you've been called out to?
I've been to a number of bedrooms where obviously things have gone wrong.
Have things gone where they shouldn't have gone?
Things have gone where they shouldn't have gone, or people have stuck things where they shouldn't have put things into.
What's the weirdest thing that you've had to deal with? Like in, item?
Item, I suppose somebody with a milk bottle on a place that shouldn't have been on a milk bottle. Like.
What about injuries in relation to those things? I mean, because they can happen, can't they?
They can, and they do, and a lot of embarrassment when they're brought to hospital then, because they have to deal with lady nurses usually when they get there.
Right.
What about men getting things caught in zippers? Have you ever been called to that?
Very few, because men kind of tend to deal with that, as you know yourself. It's a regular thing. They've caught, as I said, they've seen the things caught and other things, all right, that we get called to, all right. We carry ring cutters on our emergency tender, for usually cutting rings off. We've often had to cut other things off, other areas,
other kinds of rings. Okay.
Has anyone ever tried to seduce you on a call?
Yeah, Is my wife listening? I don't think I'll pass on that question.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. A definite yes. And then
In my younger days.
Chanel 2 wants to know: can you remember the biggest blaze you've ever had to put out?
Yeah, I suppose there was one up in the area when I was serving in Tala. I would have been at a huge industrial fire there. We would have had about 8 or 9 fire trucks there. It would have took us about at least 6 or 7 hours to bring it under control.
Wow. It's tough going. And someone else asked along those lines, Sarah Gallagher says, have you ever panicked when you've walked into a burning building? I know you have your training, but like the natural human reaction, like...
Well, I mean, your natural reaction is, I mean, you're asking firefighters, and include myself, to walk into a building where everyone's getting out of it. It doesn't seem natural even to your own brain, and you know you're going into the danger. But yeah, your training kicks in. Your training kicks in. I suppose, on a funny note, the only time I really panicked was we were called out to a house where people were locked outside. So I was a young fella, and we made down the ladder to the back window. It was one of them sash windows. And of course, being the young fella, you go up and get in the window, and it's not done like in the movies. I mean, you literally dive in the window to get in.
Yeah.
So when I rolled over, you're in a dark room, and there was a set of eyes pierced on me. I said, sugar. You know what I mean? Because next thing you could hear the ladder being made up, so I wasn't going back out the window.
Right.
And panic set in, like, oh, this, and you're there thinking it's a big dog. You know, are they nice guy? Cooler. So again, your training kicks in, you're back to the wall, and you're inching around the wall because you eventually have to come across a door.
Yeah.
And I say, I come down the stairs in one flight. Okay, you open the door, fell out onto the thing. And of course, everyone's, what's the story? And this little kiddie, I was saying, there's something in the back bedroom. You know, yeah, that's me teddy bear. Because in the dark room with a little bit of light coming in, it was the eyes. And anywhere I moved, this thing was shining.
Giant Rottweiler.
So I did panic then.